our very first presenter is Karen Lue. Karen, give us a wave. All right, thanks, Karen. So Karen is a Pittsburgh-based photographer. Her work explores aspects of identity in relation to loss, isolation, and displacement. You've probably seen her work around. She's exhibited widely in the area and in New York. We're excited to start off the night with Karen. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Karen, are you ready to start? I have to find you. And then I have to unmute Karen. There you are. Can you talk to us yet?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Great. So give us a screen share. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna start the timer, Karen. You've got
Okay.
5 minutes.
All right. Well, like Casey said, my name is Karen Lue. And when I was first invited to participate in 6x8 Sphere, I was really racking my brain trying to think of how to connect my work to this theme. And the first thing I thought of was this 1998 Dustin Hoffman movie called Sphere. And in particular, this kind of imagery of Dustin and his team going into the middle of the Pacific Ocean to explore this extraterrestrial like ship that's at the bottom of the ocean. And it made me think of this project that I photographed back in 2017 when I was living in Taiwan, of these structures called the Futuro House and the Venturo House. The Futuro House is what's pictured here. And it was created by a Finnish architect named Matti Saronen in the late 1960s and 1970s. And it was a prefabricated home that resembled a UFO, as you can see. And they were really meant to be easily transported, replicated, and situated on different terrain. They were heavily marketed towards young adults as these sort of like avant-garde retreat homes, some as like a ski chalet or like a beach house. And he also created another house called the Venturo House. And these were sort of like these weekend cottages that were shipped in 2 parts, one with a bathroom, kitchen, and the spa that you can see here on the left, and the other with all the filler pieces. And because of the oil crisis in 1973, less than 100 of these homes were made. And they're kind of located like all over, some in Finland, obviously, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, and some in the US. And there happens to be a compound in Taiwan where I was living at the time. And I just have a picture of a map here. You can see where the yellow star is. This neighborhood is like right on the beach and on the northeastern coast of Taiwan. And so when I went to photograph this compound, I wasn't really sure like what to expect, but it turns out the vast majority of these homes were either abandoned or like completely destroyed. I think there were a couple that still had folks living in them, but very few. And of the ones that you could actually go into, it was really eerie, honestly, like just because there were so many objects that were left behind from the previous owners. For example, here is like one of the bedrooms that still had sheets on the bed. And in this particular home, it seemed like whoever was living there was probably there in like the 80s and 90s, as given by the movies and things that were left behind. This is one of the Venturo homes in the neighborhood. And most of the homes actually ended up looking like this, just pretty much completely destroyed. I'm assuming from the typhoons that happen very frequently in Taiwan, and this is like right on the coast. And what drew me to photograph these scenes were a lot of my work, as Casey mentioned, focuses on looking for objects or scenes that seem out of place or abandoned and things like that. And I feel like it was really a reflection of my search for identity at the time I was photographing these, living in Taiwan and just not really knowing who I was or what I was doing. So it was really kind of a reflection and exploration of my own identity. And it's also just interesting trying to piece together like the types of people that, you know, bought this furniture and like lived in these homes and like chose to live in these very like strange but cool looking of the era houses that were, you know, pretty like impractical, living right on the beach and, you know, them being made out of like plastic. And thinking about these types of structures as ruins. And when you think of ruins like in Taiwan, you typically think of like temples or things like that. But these are pretty much the same. I mean, they're monuments to this very specific era and this time. Yeah, and so this is just an image of the Futura House and the Ventura House juxtaposed. So if you want to find more of my work, you're welcome to visit my website or check out my Instagram, which is Whopper_Junior with a 0.